just incredible to hear the wisdom that these speakers are bringing. I want to tell you about the next speaker. I met him about a year ago. I was at a Live to Lead conference through Maxwell, and we connected, and just had a chance to speak to him a little bit about what he does, and that was it. And I went to a coffee shop about 6-7 months later, and I'm sitting in the coffee shop. Nikki was talking about hearing the Lord earlier, and I was getting ready to leave, and I heard in my mind, you need to go talk to him. I want to be part of the event. No, actually, he just said, you need to talk to him. And I ignored it, like I always do. A lot of times, the first time, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times for him to get my attention. And then the second time he said it, and then I didn't do anything because I'm stubborn. I was raised in an old, stubborn Italian household. Sometimes I have to be told 10 times, Lord, forgive me. So finally I'm getting ready to open the door of the car, and I heard him say again, will you go talk to him? So I talked to him, and we sat down, had some great time, told him about the event, and his first thing is, how can I be part of it? So he's got an amazing heart for the Lord and in business, and I'm so excited for you to learn what Justin Studebaker has to offer. So please, give him a hand.
Hi, everybody. I'm honored to be here. Just such a dynamic group of people. In fact, you all came out to spend this time together and to learn, to grow in your faith and grow in your business, to serve Him and to make an impact. It's just so cool. And I give up to the speakers already. I mean, Nikki and Mark, this is amazing. And they play really well into my talk. It's like he planned this out, but really it was him who planned it out of the order, because it's such a perfect fit in terms of the idea of our identity, our purpose, who we are as children of God is to serve Him and make an impact. And what I do is I help you identify ways that you can actually do that. So I teach what's called Working Genius. Who's heard of Patrick Lencioni? Have any of you heard of Patrick Lencioni? So a couple of, we connected recently. That was awesome. So a couple of you, great. So Patrick is an amazing Christian guy, has a consulting practice in the Bay Area. And I learned about him about 5 years ago. Ironically, and I don't think it's ironic, I think the holy coincidence, right next door is another business building, and in there is Medina McKelvey, which is a local Christian law firm. Alex Medina is actually the one that turned me on to Patrick Lencioni about 5 years ago. And he's got, which will come in later, a gift of discernment, which is a way of just kind of noticing things and being able to see, I need to do that for them. It's an intuitive way of seeing things. And so I was at a point in my life, I don't know if any of you experienced this, where I was experiencing burnout, and I was feeling frustrated in my work. I was feeling like, God, what do you have for me? I've been trying to serve you. I developed a charity for foster youth locally called Dress a Sore. I had been given the gift of being the first $1 million seller as a men's stylist at Nordstrom, where it was because I was serving him and serving the community that I was blessed in that way. And yet I was feeling frustrated and burnt out, and I had no answer for it. Because my faith was strong, people would look at me and go, well, you're successful, you've done some really cool things, you're making an impact, and yet I couldn't get over the hump of what's wrong? And it was in that moment that God guided me to this conversation at lunch with my friend Alex. He had seen Patrick speak at the Thrive Conference. You guys have heard of Thrive, right? Great conference here locally. And he sent me a video of Patrick speaking at Thrive. And I was just blown away by Patrick. Everything he was saying was what I believe, this idea of dignity in work, of how we can be cohesive in how we work together, how we can reduce friction, frustration, burnout, and really create productivity and strong success, that we do that together. So his focus back then was on organizational health. And during that time, as I was learning about Patrick and learning about and reading his books, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, have you heard of that one? 5 Dysfunctions? So that's one of his best-selling books. Him and his team had discovered Working Genius, and I learned that he was actually going through something at the same time I was. Obviously, his is a much bigger scope. I mean, he runs this company, works with companies like Chick-fil-A, Southwest, some of the biggest companies in the world. I'm just a little guy working as a men's stylist and running a small little charity group here in Roseville. But it was the same idea that he was doing such good things. He was growing his faith. He had a great company. He had people he loved to work with. And yet he was feeling burnt out. He was feeling frustrated. And there was somebody at his work who had what's called the Genius of Wonder. It's the first one on your little handout, where she asked him, she said, why are you the way that you are? because they have an insightful way of asking really probing questions. You'd call this your discovery phase within real estate, when you're really just being fully present, just asking your clients questions, or before they're clients yet, just getting to know them. Well, she asked that, and that prompted this amazing innovation process, really led by the Spirit, to go into why is he the way that he is. And so it created this model, this universal model that applied to everybody, they realized. And it's what's in front of you. And when I saw that model, when they came out with it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I was experiencing in my life. That I was spending way too much time in these areas of frustration, which is one of these 3 categories of how we do work. So I'll go into that a little more, but I was experiencing that because I was not realizing that I was spending so much time in that area, which for me it's tenacity, which is task-oriented detail work, finishing tasks, operations, admin. I hate that stuff. It's not my happy place. I've had to learn to overcome that because as business owners, we have to fight through hard things. And actually it builds virtue when you can fight through hard things. And you build systems and habits and ways to overcome it. However, at that time, I didn't understand that, and I just hated it. Anyways, so there was a couple other ones that were lower for me. Enablement, which is what you would all consider to be when you're doing all the customer service stuff and following up with all your clients and making sure they feel really taken care of and valued. So I had to do a lot of that in my job at Nordstrom. Nordstrom is customer service, right? It's all service. So it's a lot of task-oriented, a lot of service. But I wasn't able to use some of the God-given gifts and talents that I have, and each and every one of you has these unique and amazing God-given gifts and talents that you're called to use to make an impact for Him and in our community, with your families, and in your business. And what this opened up my eyes to is like an understanding of what my God-given gifts and talents are, but also where my blind spots are. Because we all have some of those blind spots, let me tell you. And some of yours are probably less than others. If you've been in this business for a long time, your experience, your expertise at such a high level, your blind spots are probably like really, really small. And if you're newer to the business, you may have a little bit larger blind spots. But we all have something that is more frustrating for us than others. There's certain things that each of us do that we do naturally. We don't even realize that we're so good at it, that we have these gifts. And so when we can identify what those are and have a strategy to be able to use them, because that's your competitive advantage. All of you are in real estate, right? Is anybody not in real estate here? A couple non-real estate? Okay. So, but those of you who are in real estate, like, you're all unique. And the way you're going to succeed is going to be unique to you, right? Because none of you are the same. Like, and some of you may have similar geniuses to each other. But the way you're going to succeed in your business is going to be based off of you leveraging your God-given gifts and talents in a way that gives you a competitive advantage in the marketplace. It's not to be cookie cutter. We're not all the same. And so what I had to learn is to identify these areas that God actually is asking me to use, wanting me to use. And when I'm working in those areas, what He does for us is He gives us this like energy and this like fulfillment and this joy. It's like He's smiling at us saying, this is what, good and faithful servant, this is what I want you to be doing, because in that area, you have the highest capacity to make an impact, to make a difference, to serve your clients, to really have success. And when you can understand the people around you and what they have and how they work, and you can understand, especially in the process with a client, how that process works for you tied into these 6 key areas of work, it's a game changer, because it helps you understand how to run better meetings, how to work with your clients better, how to have better interactions, how to brainstorm and strategize and execute effectively. But if you don't know the areas that you need help on, because we all need each other. So if you're a solopreneur, yeah, you have to overcome things, but who are your advisors? Should be God, right? You should definitely be advising God. But who are your advisors like Joey, who's supporting you and knowing like, okay, I'm low on discernment. So I know that I need to lean into people because I got all kinds of ideas. If you're an inventor like me, you get all kinds of ideas. It's like wacky how many ideas you have. I think Paul's an inventor. We talked about that before. It's like you're constantly coming with ideas, but then there's all these ideas, and let's say there's a bunch of coal, but there's also diamonds in that you're producing. Well, you need to have somebody who's in there going like, oh, that's a diamond. Let me pull that one out. No, that's coal. You don't want that. And they're helping then refine that with you. And so this process, we all need each other. So what I'd like to do with you is I'd like you to go through this widget, because I'd like you to leave with at least a baseline understanding of this model. because it's life-changing. It's changed my business. It's made me have the possibility of now running my own business. It made me stronger in my ability to get through my master's degree in human behavioral psychology and to be able to start to succeed in a way I didn't think was possible. So on your sheet, think about this from 3 perspectives, okay? Think of the things that you love doing. What in your business, what in your life do you go like, ooh, that didn't feel like work at all? That was fun. You get home, you're like, I got tons of energy to like play with the kids or go do some fun activities. I want to go out to the clubs. I don't think you do that, but I'm just making a joke. But but just whatever it is. Oh, there you go. Whatever it is that you like to do, that you have that energy. And the days you get home, you kick off your shoes, and you're like, that day sucked. Like, God, what are you doing to me? Like, I am so drained. Like, you'll probably look at that day after doing this and going, oh, those were definitely in my frustrations. Like, that was a day filled with, let's say, tenacity. That means, like, you were closing a bunch of deals, which is awesome, but you had to do a lot of, like, administrivia to take care of it. And that, like, that drains you when you have to go into that operations. Because real estate, most of you are like me, right? You're people. You have to be people to be in real estate, right? Is that accurate? If you don't like people and you're in real estate, you got a problem. Like, I think, like, let's go find you a career coach. Let's get you a different industry or something, right? So you're people. So most of the time, people don't always like the tenacity tasks. They're not really excited to be behind a desk on a computer, like finishing tasks. So that part can be a little bit of a challenge. And so, but when you understand that, then you can focus on it and overcome it, have systems in place, hire a VA, have a partner who loves doing that stuff, and you bring in all the business and they handle all the back office. Awesome. You get that collaborative, beautiful relationship. The problem, you got some of that going on over there? The problem can be in that situation is you're different. So it's great because you complement each other, but you rarely see eye to eye. And because you're coming from different perspectives. We call it different altitudes. So one's coming from the low altitude of like just talking about execution. The other person's maybe the big picture person where they keep wanting to talk about, but I got this strategy of how we're gonna really market ourselves in a different way in the next 6 months. They're like, no, honey, we need to talk about what's happening today. And I'm like, no, I want to talk about what's happening in 6 months because you naturally gravitate to the big picture. So there's big picture thinkers, which are people that have wonder and invention. They're the dreamers, they're the visionaries, they're the strategic thinkers. Then you have this activation stage, which is the discernment and galvanizing. These people, they love evaluating what a client needs, counseling with them, spending time with them, asking them tons of probing questions, getting to exactly what's the right home for them that's going to create that beautiful experience. And everything evaluates and filters through discernment. It also can be a spiritual gift because there's spiritual, gifts of discernment as well, and it comes in a different angle. And wisdom can come in different ways with discernment. So, but in this situation, it's being able to evaluate and see things and see how it's going to play out. Risk management, seeing like, oh, that's not going to work for that client. This will. Oh, this is something we need to look at. It's a really good evaluating. So that second part of that is in the activation stage is galvanizing. So galvanizers are probably a lot of you. You love inspiring people. You love motivating people. You love talking. You love getting out there and selling and connecting and serving your clients. So that goes activation. Lastly, you go into implementation. So this is the people side of it, which is enablement. So if you love like building relationships, which probably a lot of you are enablement, you love serving others, you love being able to respond to the needs of your clients, seeing them happy, seeing them in a really good place, that's enablement. And that's all people-oriented. You love saying yes to people. You probably volunteer at a lot of your charity events because you love events and seeing beautiful things happen. Lastly is tenacity. So that's task-oriented, like I said. So you love driving things to the finish line. If you love a task sheet, you love tenacity. That's like your happy place, is to see things get checked off on that list and to execute and finish things. And so that's the 6. You can take the assessment. You can look at the podcast, connect with me. I'll be here at the Mixer. I'm happy to talk about this stuff. And I love helping people live into their God-given gifts and talents and helping teams thrive together. So if I can connect with you, let me know. But God bless all of you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. And he got the memo. Beautiful outfit, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say
really,
that,
really
yeah.
nice.